Hi everyone. Here are some of the things that I think are important to have in a lesson plan. So first of all, of course, the central focus of the unit or of the lesson itself. The content focus is the main idea, main topic that we will be teaching about. And then the essential literacy strategy focus, how we use language to negotiate and teach a lesson. And this includes the ideas of how we ask students to listen, speak, read, and write, and work on all of those really important skills. In one example, this teacher used the words to analyze a secondary source and determine the source's purpose. And also related skills include summarize and create an evidence-based position. And it's important that we relate these terminologies, these words, to the instructional learning objectives, the goals that we want students to be able to do, the skills, the content that they should know. And so the language should be similar here to the literacy strategy focus and also to the language function, which is found down here. So the language function, I had to look this up because it's a little confusing to me. I'm not an English person. And I found that functions represent the active use of language for a specific purpose, to express ideas, communicate with others, and show understanding of content in an academic setting. So all of the words should be similar. So in this example, the person uses slightly different words that are similar but not exactly the same. Identify, construct, and justify. And down here in the language function, we repeat the word justify. If we go back up to the top here, justify is to, create an evidence-based position, create an argument and back it up. That's what justify means to me. But I think that we are supposed to make these words match. And then as far as additional language demands, we have to just be careful with what we talk about here and only include what we can teach in that day. So in this case, vocabulary should be somewhat limited, and the discourse, again, should also be somewhat limited. In this case, he uses the word understanding the information presented to create and justify an evidence-based position on a controversial topic. And I don't mind all of this except for the word understanding, because I think that's really hard to assess. It's hard to assess if someone can understand something as opposed to describe or justify or assess or analyze, which also might have a little bit of contentiousness, according to some other professors like Leon. But I think the word understanding is really hard to assess. As far as vocabulary goes, there aren't too many words here, and I think a lot of these will have been covered in other lessons. And so maybe just it's important to remember to just keep new words that we add for this particular lesson here. And then what else do we need to know? Student prior knowledge. And this, I think, in a lot of ways can be connected to the transition from the previous activity, because the student prior knowledge should connect to a student's knowledge from past courses or previous lessons, and also to personal interests and history and culture and family, culturally responsive teaching. And the transition from previous activities, and many times we can look into that prior student knowledge to connect and to create ideas and excitement for our students. And also that can relate to the hook or the purpose for learning as well. I really like the idea of a mime, to mime an action, to have all students get up out of their seats and move, because that creates oxygen for the brain and is kind of fun. So a few examples that I thought of would be like picking cotton when talking about slavery, or digging trenches when talking about World War I. And this would mean, like, literally students would pretend to be digging the trenches or to picket during union times. And this really kind of gets them in the mind frame of what history was like, which creates interest. this student, or this teacher, excuse me, talks about the student prior knowledge, the previous lessons, what was learned and what will be learned in this coming lesson, and talks about the continuation from the previous day to make those connections. And the hook or purpose, I like how he talks about students will pair share their notes and drawings. So not just verbal ideas, but images, which are an amazing way to connect people to content.